Okay, thank you. This is a Committee on Public Safety, Intergovernmental and Military Affairs. This is for the notice of hearing for Tuesday, February 2nd, 2021, 1 o'clock p.m. And we're doing a video conference. Just to let testifiers know, the video testifiers, that the hearing is limited to 3 minutes each. And so looking at, we have Senator Revere is present. I'll note the others as they come up. Anyway, so right now we will have for GM 507, it's for consideration and confirmation as the Director of the Department of Public Safety, gubernatorial nominee Max Otani, term to expire on December 5th, 2022. So if the Director, Mr. Max Otani, is ready, I'll have him do his presentation.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, members of the committee. I am humbled and honored to be appearing before you to be considered for the Director of the Department of Public Safety. I would like to thank Governor Ige for his trust and confidence in making this nomination. I've spent over 30 years working in the criminal justice field and held various positions throughout my career, ranging from probation officer to deputy director. I retired from public safety in 2016 and enjoyed retirement until I was selected to be a member of the Hawai'i Patrolling Authority in 2019. My tenure on the parole board made me realize how much I truly miss working with the offender population and how rewarding this work can be. I was appointed to this position, director position, and started on December 1st, 2020. To say that it has been challenging is an understatement. The issues that needed to be addressed in corrections and law enforcement were overshadowed by the COVID-19 pandemic and the urgency to address these problems associated with the virus. Together with 3 strong deputy directors and able staff, PSD was able to systematically implement appropriate responses to the outbreaks in our correctional facilities. PSD is awaiting the special master's report to the governor that will cite deficiencies within our department which we need to address. This report will also recommend strategic long-term goals. We plan to use this report as a planning template to address the deficiencies within our department. While this appointment expires in December of 2022, there are many goals that I would like to accomplish before then. With law enforcement, CALEA is a top priority, and the target date is November of 2022. This certification will contribute to the enhancement of standards and professionalism with our uniformed deputies. With corrections, we will continue to pursue the relocation of OCCC to the Kalava Animal Quarantine site. However, reducing recidivism for prisoners leaving our facility is the utmost priority. Appropriately addressing criminogenic factors within the population to assist with safer management of our prisons and jails, more inmates deemed appropriate for parole release, reduction of parolees returning to custody, and safer communities. For the above goal to be successfully implemented, appropriate programming will have to be available to inmates with proper staffing in place to have these programs delivered. Collaboration with the Hawai'i Patrolling Authority will also be required to establish parole criteria that can be used as a guideline for everyone in the correctional system, including the inmates, to have a thorough understanding of what is needed to achieve parole. While these goals may appear manageable, the shift in correctional philosophy would be needed before any progress can be made. Lastly, and the one goal that is personally important to me and I plan to achieve in the next 2 years is to give every employee the opportunities to succeed. Treating everyone with dignity and respect is the first step in fostering a productive environment. It is important that employees feel that their work is important, receive acknowledgement for their accomplishments, and there is a willingness to take on greater challenges. This is where I believe we will make a paradigm shift as we begin to think of employment, not as a job, but as a career. We begin to find our future role models and leaders. We have many dedicated and talented employees at PSD, and I would like the opportunity to display their potential. I thank you for this opportunity to testify, and we'll be available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. I'd like to note the presence of Senator Baker, who joined the video conference as well. Anyway, just to do a quick rundown, we have numerous people who testified in your behalf. Jade Butai from the Department of Transportation, Elizabeth Char from the Department of Health, Isaac Choi from the Department of Taxation, Craig Hirai from the Budget and Finance, Gregor Wada from the DHERD, and Pamela Ferguson-Bray for Crime Victim Compensation Commission. At this time, we have the presence of Catherine Awakuni Colon, the Director for DCCA.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. I stand in strong support of Director Otani, and I'm available if you have any questions. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. We also have support from Mike McCartney for DBED and Ann Estacchio, Director for the Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, and Audrey Hidano, Director for Department of Accounting and General Services. Now we have Linda Takayama, Chief of Staff, testifying for the Office of the Governor.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. My name is Linda Chu Takayama. I am here on behalf of Governor David Ige, who respectfully requests your support in confirming the appointment of Max Otani as the Director of the Department of Public Safety, a position which he has held since December of last year. You have in front of you his resume, and you have heard his testimony. Here is an individual whose entire career has been in justice and corrections, and even you'll notice his volunteer activities include some aspect of the judicial system. He's well versed in all of the aspects of the job he is about to undertake, and the governor strongly supports his confirmation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Linda. We have next Douglas Murdoch, the Chief Information Officer for the Office of Enterprise Technology Services.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, members of the committee. My name is Caroline Julian Freitas on behalf of CIO Doug Murdoch and the Office of Enterprise Technology Services. We stand on our testimony in support of the nominee. Thank you.
Thank you. Going on, we have Edmund Fred Hune, the chair for the Hawaii Paroling Authority in support, and Suzanne Case from DLNR also in support. And at this point, we have Phyllis Shimabukuro Geyser, Chairperson, Board of Agriculture.
Aloha. Aloha and good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. The Department of Agriculture stands on its written testimony strongly supporting the nominee, and we look forward to continue working with him. We did meet as two agencies regarding the OCCC relocation to Halawa, and so we look forward to working with him in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. So moving on, we have William Isla, Chairman of Hawaiian Homes Commission, also in strong support. Scott Glenn, the Chief Energy Officer for Hawaii Office of Energy, the Energy Office in support, and Kurt Otoguro for Department of Accounting and General Services, also in support. And we also had General Kenneth Hara, Department of Defense, also in strong support. And now we have Andrew Morgan for the Hawaii Paroling Authority.
Hello, Chair. I don't think Andrew will be on the Zoom call today.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have Alan Johnson from Hinamauka in support, Wesley Munn, individual in support, Michael Town in support, Jordan Lowe in support, Ellen Urasaki in support, Jun Shin in support, Koa Dombrowski in support, Kim Sasaki also in support, Laura Silva in support, Dylan Yanagida in support, Elena Funakoshi in support, Brad Otani in support, Craig Kurakazu in support, Cheryl Sora in support, Noreen Machida in support, Darren Okihara in support, Robin Amano in support, Sandy Ginoza in support, Rosalinda I. Popo in support, Scott Kami in support, Melanie Boehm in support, Maria Cook in support, Ramona I. Popo, Fui Fui in support, Virginia Camerlin in support, Utuina Tua in support, Wendell Yoda in support, Jean DeMello in support, Clayton Frank in support, Cheryl Inouye in support, Patricia Aguilar in support, Raylin Reno Yeomans in support, Kelly Kiave in support, and Frank Young also in support. So I think that pretty much runs through the entire list. So if there are any questions, I just have to take questions from members of the committee who may have questions to Max Otani. Well, your silence must speak loudly. That says you are all in support of Max. So at this time, I would like to take, oh, well, I guess it's me. So Max, I have a few questions. I think we discussed it earlier. One was, the current situation of the COVID epidemic at the prisons. Yes. What is the current status of what's happening at the prison?
Okay, the current status right now is that we have the COVID virus basically in 2 facilities in Hawaii. So we have 1 confirmed positive case on Maui, which the person is in medical isolation. And we have three active cases at Halawa.
So these are the inmates, right?
Right, these are the inmates.
How about staffing? Any of them have come down with it?
Yes, we have staffing currently. Excuse me. Currently, right now, as far as staffing goes, it's basically Halawa at this point. We have 7 active staff members with active positive cases.
Right, and the facility up in Arizona and Saguaro?
We don't have any reported cases of COVID in Arizona at this time.
But there were some originally, right?
There were some,
yeah.
We had.
And I know we discussed it earlier about the inmates as well as the guards as well getting their COVID vaccinations. Where are we with that right now?
So we've been offering vaccinations to our correctional staff starting in December. And recently, approximately 2 weeks ago, we set up, with the help of Department of Health, we set up 2 pods. One was at OCCC and one was at Halawa Correctional Facility. And we tried to catch staff as they, had shift changes, all 3 shift changes.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we vaccinated approximately a little over 70 at Halawa that day, and we had over 100, I think, vaccinated at OCCC the following day. We are planning pods this week at Hawai'i Correctional Facility and Women's Correctional Center.
So how has the response been from the correctional personnel in their willingness to get the shot?
We did not take a formal survey with the staff, but while I was there, I did speak to several employees, and my personal feeling is similar to what was, I guess, assessed in the community, where maybe 50% or so was willing to take the vaccine.
And the inmates?
We started with the inmates at Hawai'i Correctional Facility and at OCCC. And again, we're going according to what community standards are. So the vaccine was offered to the Puna 75 and older. And I believe we may have had a dozen or so at each facility that accepted the vaccination.
So those were inmates who were 75 years and older.
Yes.
So when do you plan to inoculate the rest of the population who are under 75?
It's when we can work with Department of Health and the vaccine is available to that population. We're kind of going in line with what is offered in the community right now. So community right now is 75 and older, so that was offered in the prison as well.
So you are being offered more vaccines so you could dispense them?
Well, we're working with Department of Health, who controls the vaccination process.
Mhm.
So,
So
vaccination,
there were,
the next step would be the ones that are 65 to 75.
so what vaccine were they offered? The Moderna, or was it the Pfizer?
We were given Moderna.
Mhm. Okay. So when they're due for their second shot, who's keeping track of that?
Department of Health. Department of Health,
Okay.
they provide us, when you get your first shot, they provide you a card, and they're also tracking the immune population with our healthcare staff.
So it's anticipated that once almost all who do want to get their shot, that the prevalence of the COVID epidemic should end then.
Well, we would hope so. I strongly believe the vaccine would be a game changer, especially in corrections. Because we can do all the protocols, but we just don't have the space for the social distancing. So the vaccine will truly help.
Will help that.
Yes.
Okay.
Chair?
Members, any questions?
Chair, this is Senator
Yes.
Baker. Could I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Otani, you mentioned that there was a case in Maui. So I'm wondering what procedures were adopted for Maui? Was there contact tracing to try to figure out, was it a new inmate, somebody that had been there for a while? What other kinds of additional protocols or precautions are taken at the community correctional facilities like Maui?
Right. So it's my belief that it's a new inmate that was brought in that was displaying symptoms. Staff tested, and I believe we just got the confirmation this morning that he was positive. But prior to that, because he was displaying symptoms, he was put into medical isolation. People that he was surrounded with was also quarantined at that point because of close contact. And I believe we are working with Department of Health on this issue.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Otani, I assume that you folks are following the protocols, the health protocols, right? The mask and washing of hands and all of that.
Yes, we are.
And I believe you folks also had that aerosol that you guys also spray within the areas as well.
Yes, we have, I'm not sure what the true name is, but it's a fogger that, is it does like mass cleaning, I guess. It sprays the whole room. So yeah, we've been using that as inmates clear, and we prepare for new inmates to come in. Fogging has been done at the facility also.
Public safety also provides the security for the judiciary as well. So I thought there was a case of someone from who worked at the judiciary.
We've had situations where deputy sheriffs in the cell block at the courts tested positive, and the same protocols go into place where any close contact he had with the detainee or a fellow worker or staff from another agency were notified for possible quarantine.
So the sheriffs also have been inoculated, if they so choose.
Yes, they've been offered the vaccine also because they're considered law enforcement for tier 1.
Anyone else? Senator Rivera, you have a question?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Aloha, Max. How are you today?
Fine.
Good, thanks. Yeah, I want to thank you for the assistance that the sheriffs were able to provide to the university for that Waiale'e action that recently happened to help clean up some of the illegal activities out there. So that was, I think, well received and appreciated. I wanted to ask on the lines of the sheriffs, how you see the Sheriff's Department either changing, evolving, or continuing to work with other state agencies on state properties, such as Waiale'e. Is there a place for that within the department, kind of as an ongoing basis as necessary? Are the sheriffs available to come out and help with enforcement like that? Or is it going to continue to be mostly based around the Capitol?
Well, sheriffs like ACOs, each position is dedicated to a specific site. So we have deputies assigned to Capitol, we have deputies assigned to courts, warrant section, booking. So each position is assigned to a specific function at each point. So for the Sheriff's Division to expand, and let's say even to patrol these different areas, additional resources, whether it's another body or overtime payment, or whatever it is, would be needed to provide such that type of.
Yeah, I guess just there are other state properties where sometimes the police are maybe unavailable, or maybe there's certain efforts like a sweep of a certain activity. Is that something that you could foresee, continuing in the future as we did, recently?
Sure. If it is a state property, there's always coordination the state can work out with various agencies that owns the property. So in this case, it was UH, and
I guess having had that problem a while later, and I just really, it's a great example of kind of where some things fall through the cracks between the different agencies and authorities. That UH right now is trying to lease the lands at Waiale'e to different people to get activity on the land to prevent the illicit gambling, chop shops, drug activities, and other things that occur there. How can we improve the relationship? I really think that people like UH need more assistance because their security services are not equipped for law enforcement like this. And if Honolulu PD is unwilling to be more active in enforcing law because it's state land, how can we kind of set up a protocol or an expectation?
But I think it's important for these state departments to reach out to the Sheriff's Division, to express their concerns. For the example of the North Shore one, I think one of the problems was who was actually the landowner and what were the boundaries. Because if the sheriffs went in and enforced a trespass order, but it wasn't in the property that was owned by the UH, they could have gotten into trouble with that. So
well, I'm sorry, I've been involved in various other actions where there's the people living on Kamehameha Schools lands, Dole lands, the beach, the city beach park, and they just hop from property to property depending on who's trying to enforce. So when you do a consolidated, coordinated effort where you've got, the state, sheriffs and maybe the city police and DLNR, DoCare, you get all the agencies going. I mean, would you resist those kind of coordinated efforts
No, I wouldn't resist that. In fact, I think we're already involved in that type of activities with various departments in the
Hey,
law.
I just want that. This is our moment to draw attention to these things and really try to encourage you to keep that in mind as amongst all the other kuleana that you have with this job. So thank you for this conversation.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Otani, the OCCC relocation has come up again, and there's a couple of bills on that. What is your perspective on that, the rebuilding and how it would be rebuilt in terms of financing? Would you like to address any of that?
Well, last week, Friday, we just issued a request for interest. So it is basically soliciting ideas from people in the community, developers, builders, construction people, as to how best to go about building, financing, and maintaining a new correctional facility. So that is like one of the first steps that we're doing right now. From that, we will take the responses and see if we can draft an RFI out of that, RFP out of that, to proceed with the planning and construction of the new facility. You've heard it numerous times, Chair, that OCCC is old. OCCC is, it's basically falling apart. We spend a lot of money repairing it each month. It's inefficient as far as staffing goes. It's overcrowded, and I think, for me, on the humanistic side, I think, it's not a very nice place to go. It's a very good deterrent because it gives you that feeling of that old jail. But as far as the humanistic side and providing a safe environment for our employees as well as inmates, it doesn't work very well at this point.
So in the development of the new OCCC, will there be ideas to provide more treatment, perhaps like retraining and other things that may fit into that?
What are the new plans for the OCCC? Is that it's a jail, but it's also a reentry point. So, if you recall, the programming in jails is a little bit different than programming in prisons. Programming in prisons are a little bit more long-term, and jails are a little bit more short-term. So I believe there'll be a little bit of both because we have the reentry component. So some of our furlough population may be housed at this new facility in the future. But as far as programming for jails, I think there will be more opportunities for programming in jails at the facility because it'll be built for that.
Okay, so Director, you've got any comments you'd like to make at this time? What we did not cover?
No, I just would like to thank the staff, Department of Public Safety. This 2 months, I've learned a lot. I've been through a lot. I really appreciate the opportunity that the governor has given me. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I've been a big supporter of you ever since we met years ago. So I'm looking forward to working with you. At this time, I think the committee would like to go to recess so we can deliberate.
Hi, Chair. I would now
Thank you. Okay, for the issue of advise and consent for GM 507, Max Otani, chair goes aye. Senator English, I think is excused. Senator Baker,
Aye.
Senator Rivera,
Aye.
Senator Favela, I think is excused.
Aye.
Oh, Senator Favela and Sen is in the room, sort of. So, Senator Favela?
Yes, aye.
Okay, thank you. So, we've concluded that and we've passed for advise and consent. We've adopted that. Thank you. Thank you, members. And this concludes the hearing.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you.